famous Jurassic coast in Dorset on the south coast of England, in search of the first animal named in honour of Sir David Attenborough. This World Heritage Site spans 96 miles and holds many prehistoric secrets. In the ancient seas of the early Jurassic, a silent hunter glided through the deep ocean, sleek, graceful, but deadly. Its name was Attenbosaurus coniberi. With a body built for speed and an elegance that rivaled even the dolphins of today, Attenbosaurus was one of nature's earliest masters of the open ocean. Our story begins in these cliffs. It was in 1880 where fossilised remains were found here in Dorset. At first, this creature was very similar to a creature called the plesiosaur, but it wasn't until an American paleontologist, Robert Bakker, who in 1993 re-examined the bones and found something spectacular. It was something different, something special, and he named it Attenbosaurus coniberi, a tribute to Sir David Attenborough. A fun fact about Robert Bakker: he was a consultant on the Lost World of Jurassic Park, to which David's famous brother Richard portrayed the character of John Hammond. I've come to the Natural History Museum in London to see the Attenbosaurus. Much of what we know of the Attenbosaurus comes from the casts and fragments. The original fossil was sadly destroyed in the Bristol Museum during World War II. However, careful casting records preserved its story. Wow, there it is. After all this time, I don't know if you can see it, the Attenbosaurus is just up there. The Attenbosaurus is the only genus named after Sir David Attenborough. Genus simply means a broader group of closely related species, whereas a species is one specific kind of organism. Stretching up to 5 meters long, Attenbosaurus was a sleek predator. Its long neck and jaws ideal for catching prey. 4 strong flippers propelled it through the water, while its streamlined body made it a powerful swimmer, a design perfected by evolution. To understand more about how we uncover creatures like Attenbosaurus, I spoke with Grant, a paleontologist who studies marine reptiles from the Jurassic coast. Grant, so Attenbosaurus lived nearly 190 million years ago. So how do these fossils survive for us to study today?
So the fact is that a lot of the remains of these creatures won't survive all of that time. What we have in the fossil record represents sort of less than 1% of the total of life at these sorts of times. But the processes of these things becoming fossils and then being found by collectors on the beach comes in a variety of different methods, really. Different types of fossils will have different sort of preservations behind them. So on our beach alone we get various different types of ammonites, for instance. A lot of people are familiar with our fool's gold ammonites or our calcite crystal ammonites. These have undergone different chemical processes that have preserved them for us to find, and it's effectively them being in those cliffs for millions of years that keeps them safe until the seas come along and wash them out for us to come along and find them.
You're out and about in the field, let's just say the Jurassic coast. How do you know when you found something special?
So, very often you don't know when you're on the coast itself that you found something important. Very often it's not until spending tens or sometimes even hundreds of hours preparing some of the amazing fossils we find along our coastline that you realise just how special it is. Sometimes you'll be lucky and you'll be able to see the hints of something on the beach and recognise that you may have something like a complete ichthyosaur or plesiosaur. Sometimes it won't be until you take it home with you and prepare it that you find out that it's only a few scraps of bone that you've got preserved there. But it is part of the erosion process along our beach that brings these fossils out for us to see them.
And lastly, what makes Attenbosaurus completely different to the other plesiosaurs?
So Attenborosaurus, as well as some of the other plesiosaurs that we get along our coastline here, they represent early Jurassic faunas. This is when these creatures were really starting to diversify and spread amongst our oceans. So a lot of the marine fossils we have, particularly plesiosaurs, as well as other creatures like Vatasukians, crocodilians we get around here, these represent some of the earliest forms of these creatures in what we'd recognise as them, particularly with plesiosaurs with their long necks, short bodies, similar to the sorts of ones that Mary Anning was finding on these beaches 200 years ago. The finds that we get even today can be just as groundbreaking in science as they were back then.
Through discoveries like these, scientists continue to piece together the story of life's grand experiment, evolution in motion. If fossils are your passion, then Dorset is the best place to visit, especially Lyme Regis, the home of Mary Anning, who's been named the greatest fossil hunter in the world. Who was Mary? Mary was a paleontologist in the early 1800s. She was the first to discover a complete fossil of creatures like ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs. Sadly, she didn't receive much credit for her discoveries, as she was from a poor family. But her discoveries have changed the way in which we understand the history of life on Earth. Fast forward to modern times, and I've come to the Lyme Regis Museum to see a plaque in which someone very special opened the Mary Anning wing here at the museum. It was on this day when Sir David Attenborough came to the Lyme Regis Museum to open up the Mary Anning wing, where she used to come and do her fossil hunting. In 2017, along with the Mary Anning wing, Sir David Attenborough also opened up the Learning Centre for young children to learn about fossils. So next time you visit Lyme Regis, remember, behind those cliffs and fossils lies a true pioneer, Mary Anning, whose work still inspires us nearly 200 years later. This has been Attenbosaurus carnivori, the forgotten hunter of the Jurassic seas. And like every fossil, it reminds us that even the most fleeting moments in nature can leave an impression that lasts forever.